Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do a quick run through of a couple of separate tests we can run to make sure that our THC is working correctly. First, we check the light to see that it's on. We have 3 lines indicating that the Proma torch height control is actually on. It's at 130 volts, and we're going to go ahead and, using 2 fingers holding both buttons down, access the separate settings inside the THC until we reach TST. The number there isn't as important. This is a simulation of voltage, and what it's going to do is it's going to send signals to our control box indicating the up and down. You'll see the up and down lights flashing as it's simulating the motion of the THC. You'll notice that our torch is actually moving up and down with accordance to the THC's light. We need to make sure that when the THC says up, it's going up, and when the THC is going down, it's going down. And you can also see it here when looking at the Z-axis. There's one other location we can look, that's the diagnostics Alt7, and you'll notice as you go down there, it has 3 separate lights, one indicating torch on, the other one indicating torch up, and Mach 3 put torch down up there for some reason. That seems just to be a UI issue. The actual signal light is down there at the bottom, and we'll notice it goes up and down just as the THC is simulating. Now, if your THC isn't doing that, there is a physical connection problem between your THC and your control box or your control box and Mach 3. But it looks like, at this case, everything is functioning accurately. Now, another thing that we can check here is we're going to go ahead and go into config on Mach 3, and we're going to go to pins, ports and pins. That's where we can check to see whether or not it's been correctly connected on your system. Now, it should be default set to those in our WCNC profile, but you can go ahead and manually check them here to see if in the process it was screwed up. And it looks like ours is set at 10, 11, and 12 respectively, with THC down, THC up, and THC on. And if you want to go ahead and pause there, double check your settings, I would recommend you go ahead and do so. Now, when you're running your THC, you do want to make sure that your THC button is on, and there are a couple of different settings with the THC mins and max and your THC speed. But if we're experiencing other issues, of course, we're going to go ahead and take this all apart later, because that does go into the running of your machine. Now, we do want to make sure that the pins are all set up correctly: white, green, red, and black. And if one of us here actually goes ahead and tells you to open up that box, we'll double check that the 3 separate wires are lined up accurately and correctly. But first, you have to make sure that you talk with us so that we can get that done correctly without damaging the equipment. Now, the next piece that I have here is a little bit about the different settings. The THC voltage setting can be finicky, and if you're not getting an accurate voltage from your plasma, we're going to need to do some adjusting to make it simulate that. And again, we're going to have to go very specific on whether or not that is going to be the option. So we're going to run those tests first, and if those tests fail or if the tests succeed, we'll be able to tell exactly where the issue is and fix it for all of your future cuts. I'm going to be showing you a couple photos in a second, just a way for you to check to make sure that it's accurate against what your machine settings are. But a couple of little pieces of information, if you didn't already know this: the torch voltage decreases the closer the torch head is to the material. Also, at the same time, if the voltage increases, the further away your torch head is from your material, and that's how the THC adjusts for the height. One last thing: if it turns out that everything that we've tested before is accurate and it's responding the way it should, then the problem is going to mainly come from your plasma torch. There's a couple of different factors that go into that. First off, a bad tip could be causing the issue, but it looks like we've already tried to take a look down that alley, and that wasn't the issue. Secondly, it could be bad air. That is, if your the air from your air compressor is too wet. If it's not dry enough, it's not going to accurately read the voltage. and since the entire THC runs based on your voltage, we may have to sort of preset the THC to account for those voltage inaccuracies, and I can show you how to do that if that does turn out to be the case. However, for right now, we're going to assume that your torch is accurate and that it may or may not be a physical issue. So let's go from there, and you let me know what you find.